This is gonna be a video discussing the patterns that I have broke down in this section. I believe I broke down the head and shoulders, the wedge, the double bottom, and the double top. Now there are more patterns. You can easily find them on Google or go on any type of search engine and just go to like pattern like images, and you could find them. But these are the most prevalent ones, and I don't want to confuse you guys too much with a bunch of different patterns, and you have to remember a bunch of things. So these are just going to be the top ones that I know of, that I have been seeing on my everyday trading like I guess experience. So first we're going to be discussing the head and shoulders. This is a very simple but very effective pattern to trade. So what it is, the reason why it's called a head and shoulders is because of the visual aspects of being a head and a pair of shoulders. So we have the first push up, which is known as the first shoulder. It comes down and then it pushes to new highs. So it breaks this high and it moves higher, and then we come down and retrace that almost that same level. So both of these shoulders should have the approximate same peak, and then we move lower. So the best way to trade these is waiting for confirmation, right? So you can see this is a very perfect example of a start for all of these lines, but you don't want to get in at this break. Remember, the most important thing remembering is waiting for confirmation, right? This is going to help prevent this is actually going to help your reward so much more and make your green trade so much more common, right? So the head and shoulders is known as a downside result. So we're going to be getting a short trade, meaning that we're betting against this stock. So as it comes down, you don't want to enter. Remember, you wait, and then it retests. Now we always said previous supports are current resistances, and inversely. So previous resistances are current supports. So this white level line was a support. So it's support here, support here, support here. So if that's a resistance, the short trade is confirmed, right? And that white level is now a resistance. It is hard to break and it should move lower. So as it pushes higher and it rejects, this was actually a really cool one. We rejected once, came down, and rejected again. That is like a really good. Most of the time you are lucky if you even get a confirmation. That's why I don't trade head and shoulders that much, because usually they just fall, and I always like to wait for confirmations. So as it retested, that's where you get short. And I already discussed above the entry, exit, and stop loss, so you should know where you should put yours. But yeah, so this is usually a spike, and then it moves lower. A new high moves lower, and then a approximate same level as the first shoulder. And then remember, once it breaks that support, you wait for confirmation to get short, and then you get short. All right, next we have the wedge. Sorry, I don't know why I said resistance, but this is one that is the most, I guarantee this is the most common pattern you will ever see. These are formed on 180-day charts, on yearly charts, on daily charts, on 5-minute charts, on 1-minute charts, on 2-minute charts, on every chart you can imagine. Most of the time you're going to see a wedge, and there is a ascending wedge, there's a descending wedge. People call them pennants. It doesn't matter what you want to call them. That's not going to affect your the way you are trading them. So a ascending wedge is a horizontal resistance with a ascending support. So picture this white line and then a horizontal line. That is an ascending wedge. Now I don't really care what type of wedge it is, because it just doesn't matter. And then a descending wedge is a descending resistance with a horizontal support, and then this is just a regular wedge. The reason why people like to classify these ascending and descendings is if it's an ascending wedge, chances are it'll break to the upside. If it's a descending wedge, most of the time it'll break to the downside. But I've seen far too much of the inverse happen, so I don't really whenever I teach a wedge, I just teach a regular wedge. I don't really say ascending or descending, but I just want to point that out. So here, so this is so if you see these candles are being squeezed, right? Picture like, I don't know how to explain it, but picture like as it comes to this resistance, it comes down to the support, comes up to the resistance, comes down to the support, comes down to the support, and always remember that these levels aren't going to be 100% accurate. So you've seen it came down a little bit, came down a little bit, came down a little bit. That is like totally fine. It is very, very common. It's actually very not common or uncommon for it to be exact. So as it came down, we held that support, and now we're back at the resistance. So here was my whole plan. I was to get long if this resistance breaks and holds that support. Remember what we just said with Head and Shoulders: previous supports are current resistances, current resistances are previous supports, previous resistances are current supports. Or I will get short if this breaks to the downside, and then it retests this as a resistance, and if it confirms as a resistance, meaning that it can't get over it, that's where I will enter my short position. So wedges are a very, very good thing to understand. Definitely, it's very, very simple. That is why I'm not putting up a bunch of examples. It is a very simple pattern. Definitely read what I put for the wedge. That's very important. And yeah, so that was it for the wedge. Next is a double top. Now this is something that it worked out so well when it came to this. I don't know, I was just very lucky to find something this perfect. So a double top is pretty much a horizontal resistance, a horizontal support, and it bounces up, it hits the resistance, comes down to this support. This is almost like textbook trade. This was like very, very perfect. And then it came down to the support, it came up to the resistance. So meaning that it tested the resistance once, came down, tested it again, and it couldn't get over. Now, it depends on the time frame. So let's say this was a 1 minute chart. That double top is going to be less strong than, let's say, it was a yearly chart. So let's say on a yearly chart, meaning let's say it's like a daily chart, it comes up to the resistance on a yearly chart, comes down and comes back up, and it doesn't break that. That's a really strong resistance, because the bigger the time frame, because if you what you definitely did, my first section is big picture, you will understand that the bigger the level, the stronger it is, and the more significant that is. So if it's a yearly chart and it doesn't break it twice, chances are it's going to move lower and not break it. Now, that I'm not saying it's not going to break it, but chances are it won't. So as you can see, these black bars are days. So this might have been a 20 or 30 day chart. So as it came down and rejected twice, this double top, then we can see exactly what this is a perfect trade. So double top results in a downside moves. You can capitalize on the short part of that. So it came down and it broke it, and then it came up, and remember, wait for confirmation. So it tested this support as a resistance, and as it failed, that's where you get short. I would personally get my exit at this low here. So it broke down, that's where I will take some off, and then I will hold my other percentage of my shares until some type of next key level. And then lastly, I want to discuss is the double bottom. This is something that it's pretty much exactly what I said. So these double bottom and double tops, most of the time they might have 3 bottoms or 3 tops or something, but you have to realize that the more times that it hits that level, the almost like more confirmation you should feel, or the more comfortable you should feel taking that position, because it's constantly trying to break it, but it can't. So as we can see, that this white line was a resistance, and then it was a resistance, it came down, and it was a resistance, it broke above, then it was a support. So right away I automatically know this white line is a very important level. So it came up to the resistance, it came down to the support, it came up to the resistance, it came down to the support, and after that, as it came up to the resistance, it broke above. Remember, we don't want to get in. So a double bottom results in an upside move, and the double top results in a downside move. So as it broke above and it held support here, that's where you want to enter. And I believe this was an S&P chart. So as you can see, it held the support. That's where you can enter. Remember, your stop loss will be below that white line. So as you can see, it rolled over the next day or the following day, and then it held that support again, and then it moved much higher. So that is just a very good example of why waiting for confirmation is very important. And so you are gonna see here that even though this is a double bottom, it did do a double top, maybe even a triple top. All you gotta know is the more times it hits, the stronger it is, and just really that, because the main part of learning double top and double bottom is so you can play both sides of the trade. Because if you only knew about double tops here, you'll be like, oh, I'm gonna get short here because you're anticipating, and then you'll get stopped out, and then you would have a losing trade. But if you knew what a double top and a double bottom was, you would know, all right, so the double top did not work out, let's try the double bottom. So it bounced, and it moved higher. You'd be like, all right, good, this is a double bottom pattern, this is exactly what I planned, and then you would profit thus far. So these are the most common patterns that I see on a daily basis. Yeah, so like I said, there are more patterns, but don't worry about them. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed this quick video, and keep on reading.